guys, Kim Cash here. Valentine's Day is just around the corner and I wanted to decorate around the house and just spruce it up for the holiday. So one of the things I thought about getting was a duvet cover, and I found a fabric that I really liked, which was called Forest Gnomes, and it was a black fabric with forestry things, and they just didn't have the right size for my bed. And so what I decided to do is just make some pillowcases. So I went to the fabric store and I got this fabric, which is the dark cherry, and if maybe I can zoom in to show you that on some of these cherries they have little hearts. I don't know if you can see it right here. I can bring it in and show you in a second. So what I'm doing is cutting off the selvage and evening up all the fabric. I'm going to have to, I didn't cut all the way through, so I'll use my scissors, which I've got right here, just to, I didn't press hard enough. I guess I could try to press harder one more time. I'm going through a lot of fabric. I'm going through the 2 pillowcases, the 2 accent pieces, and the 2 cuffs. So you could do it one at a time, but I'm just trying to make a quick craft for Valentine's Day to spruce up the house, and don't want to spend a lot of time doing it. But if you were doing this, you know, with just, you could just do one at a time. Okay, so now that I've got that, what I need to do is go and iron the accent pieces inside out, and I'm going to go to the ironing board and do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, I decided before I iron these accent pieces, I wanted to show you again the hearts on these little cherries. If you zoom in really closely right here, you can see that there's these little teeny tiny hearts on some of the cherries, which I think are really cute and give it the Valentine's Day theme, like right there. I'm looking for some more. There's one right there. They're interspersed. There's one right there. And then this one, of course, has the bigger hearts on it. So I thought this would be really cute. And I'm going to iron this inside out and be right back. Okay, so now I've ironed the little accent piece in half. And now what we have to do is we have to line up the raw edges up at the top so that they're exactly lined up. And so first goes your cuff, and it needs to be face up. And then you want to, I'm lining it up on my 2 self-healing mats, and I've got it on the 1-inch mark. And then this main piece needs to line up exactly with that. And it's not so easy. If you don't have to, I'm going to roll this up just so I can reach it. And then you want to keep your cuff, you know, straight and flat. I'm going to move it down a little. It's hard to reach. Okay, so now I've got it lined up. And now I want to line up the main fabric up on it. Hold that. And they're all face up. Okay. As soon as I get it perfectly lined up, then I will show you the next step, which is to pin it. But first I want them all perfectly lined up. And if you don't have them perfectly lined up, it may not come out. And the thing about this magic pillow is that it doesn't show any seams, which is pretty cool. So here we go. And then you put this one up there, and you want to be pretty precise about this. Okay, so you roll this one. And then you fold this one up like this, and it's going to have to come through this tube. You're going to have to pull it through the tube at the end after we sew it. But now I'm going to pin it, and I'm going to be pretty careful to try to get all the fabric. I'm only doing one pillow at a time now. But now I'm going to pin it, and then when I'm done pinning, I'll come back and we'll sew it. Okay, so now I've got the long edge all pinned, and we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is just standard, and we want to try to catch it all. And I'm going to try to secure this really well at the beginning and at the end, because we're going to pull this through the tube. As soon as I'm done with this, that's when the magic happens. Okay, so now I've done the sewing, and I'm just going to pull the main part through. I'm going to try to get my hand in there and get the main part of the fabric, the main fabric, and just pull it through. And it just takes a second. Pulling all the fabric through the tube, and if I was a little stronger it would come through much faster, but we've almost got it. And I'm just going to iron it, and then I'm going to come back and I'll show you how to do the French seam. Okay, so now I've ironed it and I've got it all, set up to go, and I pinned it on the two sides. And for a French seam, the difference between regular sewing of a pillowcase and a French seam pillowcase is you put the wrong sides together when you're going to sew. So you've got the right sides, or the sides you want on the outside, showing, which typically you would sew with the showing sides inside, tucked together. So I'm just going to sew this, and then I'll show you what we do next. And you want a 5/8 seam allowance still, just like normal, which means you put the presser foot against the edge of the fabric, and you sew with that as your guide. Now remember, when you're going through the cuff with the accent piece and the fabric, it's pretty thick, so just go slow. all stitched around the edges, the two edges that were open. So now what I'm going to do is just trim the excess and the threads, and then we'll turn it wrong side out and poke this in as much as we can. I'll show you. And then we just stitch it that way, just like normal. And then the seams won't be seen at all. That's called a French seam, when you tuck the seams in and sew. And what it's doing is kind of hiding your seams. So let me just trim it all, because you don't want so much bulk. That's the reason I'm trimming it now, is just we don't want the bulk of the excess fabric. And I could use my roller cutter, but I'd probably, knowing me, I'd cut the seam I just did. So this, I can just take my time. So now I've got it all trimmed, and then we just turn it wrong side out. Poke out your corners and try to get those. Actually, I might even iron it just to get it as tight as possible. So I went ahead and ironed it just to make the seam really crisp, and now I'm just going to sew it, and then I'll show you what we have. So you want to sew it close to the edge. And I trimmed, you know, all the excess. So here we go. Okay, so now I'm done sewing it. I'm just going to trim the excess threads. And then I will show you the seams. So for a French seam, this is what it looks like. Because the actual seam is tucked in and sewed in. And so it looks very professional and finished. And then when I turn it right side out, I'll show you how it looks on that other side. So let me just show you. It looks normal, I mean, or typical for a regular pillowcase, like here and here. But as you see, you don't see any of the seams. They're all tucked inside everywhere. So on the inside of the pillowcase, it's all tucked in. And it just looks really professional. And so that's the French seam. And then the regular seam, a typical pillowcase. Well, I don't have a serger, so a professional pillowcase would have the raw edges finished with the serger on the inside. But it looks very similar here. But on the inside, the difference is that you can see the raw edge. So that's the difference. I don't know if you can see that well, but you can see the raw edge, and I can trim it better, but I just wanted you to see. So that's the finished product. And if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I just want to wish you guys a happy Valentine's Day. And if you're interested in these kind of crafts, then just check back over the next few days. I might have some baking or some chocolate making. And thanks again for watching. Bye.